A forgotten prophecy warns, the year 2025 will not be just another year. It will be humanity's turning point. For centuries, whispers have lingered, from poets, monks, mystics, and travelers, all warning of a year when history would shatter. A year when the balance of power would collapse. Some dismissed it as myth. Others buried it as too dangerous. But the warnings never stopped. From an American psychic who predicted assassinations, to a blind seer in the Balkans who saw the end, to a mysterious man claiming to be from the year 2062. All pointed to one date. Tonight, we open the pages that were never meant to be read. We connect the voices scattered across time. And we ask the question no one dares. Is the prophecy already unfolding? Her name was Jeane Dixon, once hailed as the most powerful psychic of the 20th century. A woman whose visions bent the ears of presidents, generals, and kings. Born in Wisconsin in 1904, Dixon rose from obscurity to fame when her predictions began piercing headlines. She foresaw Franklin Roosevelt's death, Harry Truman's unexpected rise, Churchill's downfall, and, most chillingly, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Long before Dallas 1963, she told the world a Democrat would win the White House. A man beloved, but his life would be cut short. And when the motorcade bullet struck, her name was etched into history forever. But fame has two faces. For every believer who whispered of her accuracy, there were skeptics ready to dismiss her as a fraud. What few knew was that Jeane Dixon was more than a parlor fortune teller. Behind closed doors, Washington insiders quietly sought her guidance. Presidents read her words, businessmen invested by her predictions, and foreign leaders feared her sight. In 1971, she published My Life and Prophecies, a book that contained visions of events decades ahead, but buried within were pages so dark, so unsettling, that some were redacted. And there she spoke of the year 2025. Her vision, a war unlike any other, two great powers colliding, and in the end, China would prevail. This was not fiction, not myth. It was her warning, written in black and white. She described it not as a fiery dragon, but as one that rose in silence. I see a dragon rising, not breathing fire, but weaving silk over steel, drawing the world inward, silk over steel. A chilling metaphor. Was she foreseeing China's economic rise, its hidden expansion across continents, or something far more terrifying? And then came the strangest part. Entire passages blacked out, sections where only a date remained, 2025, and the phrase, too dark for now. What was so horrifying that it could not be published? What did Dixon see that the world was not ready to hear? In her final years, her visions turned darker. Not single events, but entire chains. Dominoes falling across nations, systems collapsing, one by one. She spoke to her closest circle in riddles, one phrase repeating again and again. The beginning comes from the middle. The end comes from the mirror. Scholars still debate its meaning. Some say the middle is the Middle East, a conflict beginning there, rippling outward. Others say the mirror is Europe, a reflection of past war destined to return. But the truth is, we may only understand it when it is too late. And yet Jeane Dixon was not alone. Others, across centuries, spoke of the same year, the same shadow, the same unraveling of the world. What are the odds that so many voices, separated by time and space, would all point to 2025? Part 2, Baba Vanga. But Dixon was not the only one. Across the world, in a small Bulgarian village, lived a blind woman. Her name was Vangelia Pandeva. The world called her Baba Vanga. Blinded as a child during a great storm, she claimed the darkness gave her a different kind of vision. She could not see with her eyes, but she saw with something else. For decades, people came to her. Farmers, soldiers, presidents, even the KGB. She spoke in fragments, half riddles, half warnings, and one of her visions locked onto the year 2025. Vanga whispered that in 2025, Europe would change forever. Borders would not hold, ash would fall, and the world would never be the same. Some say she foresaw an invasion. Others believe it was collapse from within. but her words were precise. The old continent will be emptied, its people scattered, its crown broken. What crown? What scattering? What emptiness? Her followers believe she foresaw war sweeping across Europe. Cities turned silent, generations displaced, and the rise of a new power in the East. The East again. The dragon again. 2025 again. Was it coincidence or a chorus echoing across time? Part 3, Nostradamus and Irlmaier, long before Vanga, long before Dixon. There was Nostradamus, the 16th century French seer whose cryptic quatrains still haunt the world today. His words were cloaked in riddles, dates hidden, symbols woven into poetry. And yet, scholars keep finding patterns. One quatrain speaks of war by the Black Sea, another of a great empire in the East rising in silence, and one points directly to the middle of the 2020s. He wrote of fire falling in the north, while the dragon moves across seas. Interpreters argue endlessly. Was this Russia, China, or both? But then came a voice much closer to our time. A German dowser and well-digger named Alois Irlmaier. He lived through World War II and claimed visions of a third. Irlmaier spoke of a sudden conflict. He said it would begin in the Middle East, and then spread like wildfire. He saw yellow dust falling from the sky. Skies darkened, cities destroyed, Europe shaking. And when pressed about when, he hinted not at a century, but at a decade. He said, when technology binds every man's hand, then the third great fire comes. Today, look around, screens, phones, satellites, AI. Are our hands already bound? Part 4, the time traveler and the Chinese poem. And then, the strangest voice of all. Not a prophet, not a psychic, but a man claiming to come from the future. The mysterious time traveler from 2062. Appearing first on Japanese message boards, he answered questions with eerie precision. He spoke of disasters before they struck, events that later unfolded exactly as described. And then, he left a chilling warning. In 2025, do not stay in the cities. Get to the mountains, no explanation, no detail, just that one warning, repeated again and again. Was it a hoax, a prank, or was it part of the same chorus? Because deep in ancient Chinese writings lies another prophecy, a Tang Dynasty poem written over 1,000 years ago. And within its cryptic verses, it names the year of the snake, 2025. The poem speaks of plague, of nations converging in struggle, of a shadow cast over the earth, and the rise of a new dynasty from the east. 1,000 years ago, a monk wrote it in ink. A psychic whispered it in America. A blind woman cried it in the Balkans. A time traveler posted it on the internet. Different centuries, different languages, the same year. Part 5, the convergence. So now, here we stand. On the edge of the year 2025, Jeane Dixon, Baba Vanga. Nostradamus Irlmaier, the time traveler. The Tang Dynasty poem. 6 voices, 6 warnings, all pointing here. Coincidence or convergence? Was it random chance or the echo of something we were never meant to ignore? Maybe prophecy is not about prediction. Maybe it is about recognition. Seeing the signs when they appear, hearing the warnings when they return. And perhaps that is the final test. Not whether they were right, but whether we are listening. The year is here, the prophecies converge. The question is no longer if. The question is, will you listen? Or will you wait until it is too late? Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell icon for more.